There's a puddle of oil forming on my floor and I want to find out why. I think it's related to the most common oil leak you'll ever see on your engine, the valve cover. In my area, mechanics want almost $900 to replace both gaskets, and that's just the labor charge. I removed some of the plastic to get a better look, but it just looks a bit damp. Now this V6 is slanted down towards the cabin, so most of the oil there is down below. Let's go underneath the car and see what an oil leak like this looks like so you can identify it on your car. You're gonna see the transmission from the bottom this time. There's an axle and there is your cylinder head with the leak. Now way back here you can just see the valve cover and the gasket between the two. That leak would be a lot worse if the engine were running. It'd be dripping on us right now. Got to replace that gasket. Now I'll show you how to do that. Let's go back up to the top of the car. The engine is kind of rotated underneath that cowl just for packaging. And we've also got this plenum here. So I've got to remove that. And then we can get down here to the valve cover. Oh boy. Oof. Yeah, that feels better.
Hey Dad, could you fix up Andres' bike a little bit?
Could I fix up his bike a little bit?
Yeah, his gears aren't working properly.
His gears. Sure, why not? Toughest part about this job is I gotta get way back here underneath the cowl and behind the intake manifold. There's some bolts holding it to a bracket here in the back. Oh, felt like it popped there. That's it, a whole lot of fuss for kind of a small little part. And we've got 3 coil packs to get off of there. I'll give them a twist just to break those coil boots free. I was looking for oil on these coil boots and I don't see any, so they're not leaking on the inside of the tubes, and that's good, but we're going to replace those tube seals anyway. Looks like everything's free. We can go ahead and remove the bolts, pull the cover off. Okay, got this out of here. Let's go over to the bench and I'll show you what this gasket looks like and why it's leaking. Now this is a rubber gasket, but it doesn't sound like it anymore. It's super hardened. Let's try and get some of this out of here. Whoops. Okay, it came out a lot easier than I was expecting it to, but see that? Just cracked right here. Just cracks and breaks. Get a good brand. This is Mala. It's the best that I can find other than going OEM Toyota. And it's also got some spark plug tube seals. That's going to go in these holes here, but we got to get the other ones out. Let me show you how to do that. I'm going to use this little prying tool to get down underneath this keeper and just kind of pry it up gently. That keeper on Toyotas holds these in. And I want to get down under that, and that's the hard part to pull out. Let's see if we can do it. There we go. So here's the new seal. The inside diameter here is wider than on the other side. So you want the wide end facing you as you put it in. It just kind of lays down in there. If you get a high quality gasket like this one, it's gonna fit much better than some of those auto parts store cheaper gaskets. Now I've also got a little bit of silicone sealer. I'll show you where to put that on the engine. Back of the engine on top of the cylinder head. Look right there. You see that gap between those 2 pieces of metal? You'll see another one here, and also right over here by this cam cap. Those seams have to get some RTV. There I go spilling it. Just a dab. Right there, right where the valve cover gasket would go. And I'll continue all the way around. Just gotta feed it down and around this harness right here. Remember, you've got a rubber gasket on here and you don't want to tear it, so be careful as you get it over those cam gears. Kind of get it in there and give it a little bit of a wiggle to make sure everything is seated properly. If you have a torque wrench, this would be a good time to use it. Usually on these you want about 8 to 10 foot-pounds or so. I like to start in the middle. And then kind of go in a crisscross pattern here. I've already tightened these up kind of hand tight. It's not a bad idea, since you're in here, to check your spark plugs. Have a look at it, make sure it's not damaged on the porcelain, and make sure the gap is correct. Make sure you get your coils put back in where they go. Bolt them down and then plug in their connectors. Alright, we've got a brand new gasket on the intake manifold. This is going to be the hard part, putting it back together, because those brackets in the back are tight. Alright, we're on the home stretch here. We got the brackets knocked out. Those were difficult. Recommend doing the same thing with these. Torque them down if you have a torque wrench. Doesn't take much. Start in the middle and work your way out. Couldn't find my bungee cords. Zip ties work okay. I just didn't want that springing around and getting in my way, so I just tied it up. Okay, there we go. This job was a challenge, but more than anything, you're just going to need a little patience to get through it. For a more DIY friendly job to get you started, check out this video with the no mess power steering flush.